Hey there guys, and welcome to the 4th episode of the Steam networking series. This time around, we start out by making sure that whenever a player receives an invitation from a host, it's going to be visible in the game inside of a Godot tree. Thereafter, we're going to program the ability to join the lobby of the invitation that was just received. And then, we'll make sure that players in the lobby will be notified of whenever someone joins or leaves the lobby. This applies both to the host and whoever has joined the lobby. They'll both be notified when something happens, when someone leaves or someone joins. Now, there are endless possibilities on how to handle invitations and on how to handle lobbies. This is just one of them. But once you have a general understanding of how it works, you can go and create whatever system suits your game the best. Okay. Now, before we move on, let me just quickly thank you all for the great feedback that I've been receiving from the Godot community. You guys are very nice to me, it warms my heart, and it certainly motivates me to keep going with the series. So, thank you very much for that, and with that said, let's just get going. Alright, so most of this code we made the last time, and last time it was all about creating a lobby. So all of this code right here is for the creation of a lobby. Now this time it's going to be about joining a lobby. So let's quickly make a comment down here. This is where we will be continuing our script, of course. So let's rename this to joining a lobby instead, so that now we kind of split our script into sections of creating a lobby and joining a lobby. Maybe there'll be more. I can't quite remember at this point, but at least we'll just kind of separate, divide our script into sections so that you can kind of, you kind of know what's going on. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to be making today is we're going to make the game show whenever you receive an invitation from a friend in Steam. So right here we have a tree. It's a Godot tree, and it kind of works, just like a table. If you wanted to, you can make it work like a table, but it's pretty much just a tree. This right here is a Godot tree as well. So this is how it works. You kind of have these things that you can open and close. We're not going to be opening and closing. We're just going to display whatever invitations we receive. Now I've configured this tree to have 2 columns because we want a column with the name of the friend who sent an invite, and we also want a column with what's called a join ID. And there's actually a difference between the join ID and the lobby ID. And it's kind of a weird, I don't understand it fully. However, I'm going to explain to you to the best of my knowledge, how that works and how you have to manage it. It's kind of, I can't find any solid documentation about it, but it works pretty weird, I would say. But that's not for right now. So I have 2 columns, and then I've the select mode I've selected to be row, because we want to select the whole row instead of just selecting multiple cells. If you've never worked with trees before, this might not make too much sense for you, but we'll get a visual understanding of what this means in just a second. So the first thing that I am going to do is, of course, reference my tree and this label and this button, and I'm just going to do it real quick, so just a second. Alright, so I think I've got it all referenced now, all that we need. Very good. So now, in the ready function, one thing that we're going to do is just create the root, the root item in our tree. The way we do this is just by saying create tree item, just call it item, is equal to invitation tree create item. Very good. That's all. Yep, that's pretty good. Then we say item set text, and then we provide the column that we want to set text in, and that's 0 based. So we start with 0 friend, and we also want to set the text in the column number 1. That's going to be join ID. good. So I'm just quickly going to show you what that looks like, so you kind of have an idea of what I'm talking about here. And here you can see there is a column here with friend, and there's a column with join. However, I didn't set the font, so it was really small. Let's just do like this. There we go. Let's try again. See what it looks like. There we go. So we have a column that says friend, and we have a column that says join ID. And if I click on it, it's one selection here instead of multiple selections, so that I would be able to select friend and then I'd be able to select join ID. It's just one row. So that works pretty well. And let's get back into MonoDevelop. Now we need another callback actually, because every time you get invited to join a game or a lobby, you get this callback will detect it. So let's make a new callback, and this one is called lobby invite. Let's call it callback lobby invite. I think that's correct, right? Oh, it's not a function, of course. Let's say callback invite is equal to callback. Oh my goodness. No, I want this one up here. All right. Lobby invite, and let's create a function called on lobby invite. Very good. And we'll make that down here. So private void on lobby invite, and this takes a parameter of type lobby invite, of course, and we'll call that invitation. Now what we can do in this function, or using this callback, is to just add a cell or add an item in our tree and display whoever is, of course, who's invited us and what's the join ID. So the way we do this is, let's make a comment, display invitations in tree. And again, we're going to make a tree item, just call it item, just as before, it doesn't really matter. It's an invitation tree, create item, and then we'll do a set text, and this would be column 0, and this would say, of course, the name of the user who invited us. So this is inside of invitation here, the invitation parameter. Actually, that's not what we want to do right now. So to get the name of one of your Steam friends, you want to have to use the Steam friends class, and that's called get friend persona name. So that's the name of your friend, and the name that we want to get here, this takes so get friend persona name, that takes an ID of the friend that you want the name of, and the ID we want the name of is inside of the invitation parameter. Okay, so invitation mul steam ID user, that's what we want. Now this is a ulong, and we want it to be a C steam ID, so let's just do like this, and that should work. So we set the texts of the first column to get the friend persona name of the Steam ID that we have received from the invitation parameter. Now let's also set the text in the first column here, or column number 1, to be the join ID, and that is also stored inside of the invitation parameter. So let's just do invitation Steam ID lobby, which that's what it's called. It's just called the lobby ID, but the ID is not the same as the one we get when we create a lobby. That's why it's a little weird, but we'll get into that a little bit more in just a second. So right here, let's just make this a string so that it fits inside of a tree item. Very good. So now whenever we receive an invitation, it gets displayed, it gets shown inside of this tree item. Very good. Alright, so let's see here. Okay. So the next thing we're gonna make is that whenever a cell is, or an item is selected in the tree item, we should have the ability to join this, the invitation of that item. So we are going to say, let's start with, we have to do some things with signals first. So whenever an item is selected inside of the tree, this button should be enabled so that we have the ability to join what we've just clicked on. So let's get this signal going inside of our script. Actually, we need another signal as well. We also need the nothing selected. So when nothing is selected, this button should be disabled again. So let's add this to our script as well. So we have these two. And I'm just gonna do like this. I'm gonna paste these in here. So whenever an item is selected, and let's check. So we don't want the we don't want the button to enable if the first row is selected, if the root is selected. So we're gonna have to check if that's what's selected. So let's see here. If let's see here. If invitation tree gets selected, and then we get the text of the selected in the first column, which would be 0. Let's see if that is not equal to friend, which is what the text is. Of course, then let's say join selected button would be false, disabled would be false, so we enable it. So if the text of the selected item in the tree, if that's not equal to friend, then enable the join button. And if that's not the case, else, then of course we want it to be disabled. So to see if this works, we're just gonna try it out in just a second. However, we also need the join button to be disabled whenever nothing is selected. So let's put that in here. Just copy paste that. Now let's try and see if that works by just quickly adding another tree item. Let's call this item 2. And let's make this something other than friend. This would be name. And this would be some kind of long number. So let's try to see if this works. Alright, so we have this right here, and the button does not get enabled, but if we click this one, we can join this and go back and forth. It enables and disables accordingly to which item is selected. Alright, that works pretty good. And if nothing is selected also, that doesn't work. That's pretty interesting. Alright, let's just see if we can fix that. Disabled, of course this should be true instead of false. Let's see if that works. Alright, nothing selected. Alright, that works pretty good. Or does it now? That doesn't work very good. Let's see if we can fix it even more. I think that's what we're gonna have to live with for now. I'm not sure why it works like that. Because ideally we would have the join selected button to disable at this point, because nothing is really selected. But it seems like this might be a Godot issue, because nothing is obviously selected now at this point. And so this should of course be disabled. But Godot doesn't do that. This'll work for now. This'll work for now. It's just a little bit weird, but this'll do. That's fine. Alright. So this is pretty good. Let's just this doesn't have to take up so much space. Actually, it doesn't even need brackets, so let's just delete all these brackets. Alright, that's good. That's really nice. Well, this needs brackets, of course. Or I guess we could make it to expression body. There we go. So that it doesn't take up so much space. Alright, so that works fairly well. That'll work as much as we want it to work for now. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we want to add the ability to, of course, join whatever it says in this Steam tree, or whatever, the Godot tree. So, let's add another signal. That would be whenever you click on this button right here. Pressed. Yeah, this one right here. And let's do that. Oops. Let's have that up here actually. Let's do like that. So whenever you click that button, and of course, just like we did with the hosting, we should also have the ability to leave a lobby whenever it has been entered. So we're gonna say if the join selected button text is equal to join selected. I think that's what the text says. Let's just check. Yeah, join selected. Alright, now let's see. If that's equal to join selected, then at this point we know that the player is trying to join a lobby, and therefore he's not playing as host. So let's make the our global script here, our singleton, the boolean variable that we have in there, playing as host. Let's make that false. Okay, that's the first thing. And then what we want to do is to, as I explained to you before, there is a lobby ID, and as far as I can tell, there's another kind of ID, because they're not the same. So what I mean is, whenever you create a lobby, you get an ID. We saw that in the last episode. It says the ID in the game in the status section, right? But when an invitation is received, and the ID that we get from that invitation, even though it would make sense if that would be the lobby ID that we use to create the lobby, it's actually not the same number. So I would call that a join ID. So yeah, I made another variable called join ID. And down here we would say the join ID is equal to, now we want to get the number from the tree, right? There's a tree, we've selected a row in the tree, and we want to get the number from column number 1, and we want that to be equal to join ID. So the way we do this is we try to pass the string into a ulong. So that would be ulong parse, and we want to parse invitation tree, get the selected row, get the text of the selected row from the first column, that would be column number 1, not the one with the friend's name, but the one with the ID, the join ID, the number. And then, of course, this also takes a iFormat provider, which would be, there is not really any kind of format here, so let's just do system globalization number styles none, because this is just a long number. There's not really any kind of style. Now it complains because it cannot implicitly convert type ulong to a system ID. However, it can if we just do like this. That should work pretty well. And now, of course, we have received the ID that we're going to use to join the lobby. So now we can use that Steam matchmaking to join this join ID. There we go, and that should work. Now we actually have the possibility to join a lobby. Very good. And whenever you join a lobby, of course, you should also have the ability to leave the lobby. So now the button should say leave lobby. Let's call this visual stuff and parse string from invitation tree into a Steam ID and join the lobby. I hope this makes sense. It's kind of complex. It gets a little weird, you know. But if there's anything you don't understand, just make sure to leave a comment, and I'll be sure to I'll make sure to try and reply and help you all out if there's any issues, or if there's something you don't understand. Well, I don't even understand everything, but this is just this is how I make it work. Okay, yeah. So at this point, well, I actually think we're pretty good. We're pretty good so far. I think we have pretty much all we need. All right. Okay. So we made the ability to see whenever we get an invitation. That'll be shown in game, and whenever we click on this button, we actually join a lobby we've been invited to. Now, okay, let's make the ability to leave the lobby. So if the text of the join selected button text is not equal to join selected, it would probably be equal to leave lobby. Now you don't really have to do it like this. You can just say else, but this is just so that it's clearer that what we're doing here. And in that case, if you press the button while the button says leave lobby, we want to leave the lobby. So Steam matchmaking, leave lobby, and that's the same thing as join ID. And let's make it text equal to join selected again. So that's how it works. All right. I think that's it for this right here. Now, another thing that I would like to add is, let's see here, this chat box right here. This is just a rich text label. However, I would like this to say whenever someone joins the lobby or leaves the lobby. So let's go ahead and do that real quick before we try testing if it works. So let's just see, making sure, or what are we gonna call this? What are we gonna call it? Let's call it notify players of lobby activity. Okay. So we're gonna need another callback. There's a callback for detecting every time something happens in a lobby, and this is when someone gets kicked, banned, and when someone enters the lobby, and when someone leaves the lobby. And I think there's a few more, but I can't quite recall what they are. However, the only ones we need, of course, is when someone enters and leaves. So we're going to show it inside of the chat box here. So first, let's reference this chat box. That's a rich text label, and that's called chat box. And let's say chat box is equal to get parent, whoopsie, spelled that wrong. Get parent, get load, GUI join section. That's not the join section, that's the chat section. Chat section, that's called a chat box. As rich text label. That should work. Okay, so let's see here. So callback. We need another callback. Protected callback. And this is called on lobby chat updates. Why is that not working? That's not what it's called. It's called lobby chat update. Sorry. Callback. Lobby chat update. And down here, we're gonna callback chat update. Callback chat update. Where's that? There it is. Create on lobby chat update. Oh, of course, this is not a function. There we go. And private void on lobby chat update. That takes a parameter of type lobby chat update. Well, we're gonna call that update. That's that makes sense. And I guess we'll just check out what that callback is, just for, you know, making sure that we understand. Let's go to this one right here. So let's see what the documentation has to say about that callback. Lobby chat update. Okay, let's just get all the way up, and this would be inside of callbacks, chat update. A lobby chat room state has changed. This is usually sent when a user has joined or left the lobby. So that's just what we need. Okay. So whenever something's happened, let's go to chat box, add some text, and let's make a new line. And let's see. Then we're gonna get the name of the user who has entered or who has left. So that would be inside of Steam Friends, of course, just like before. Get friend persona name. See Steam ID. Update Steam ID user changed. So this is the we get from the parameter here, which is update. So we get update, and then we get the ID of the Steam user who has done something, who's entered or left or kicked or been banned or whatever. Steam ID user changed. So the user has been changed in some way, or changed the lobby in some way. And then let's say plus made a change in the lobby. Change, and we're gonna figure out what this person did or what the user did. Let's say update RGF chat member state change. So this would print an integer, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe there's more. I can't remember. 1, I think, is whenever someone enters a lobby. 2, I think, is when someone leaves a lobby. So this is what we're gonna print in the chat box. All right. So this is gonna be where we discover the hard truth that we make everything correctly. And at this point, okay, so what I tried to explain to you before about the lobby ID and the join ID is that whenever you create a lobby, you get an ID, of course. We saw that in the last episode. But when you actually join that lobby yourself as a host, that lobby has another number for some reason, and I can't really understand why that is. But the entrance here on lobby entered, that ID that is inside of this parameter is different than the ID we are storing in lobby ID, which is the one we made, of course, up here. Lobby ID is equal to the ID that we got from lobby. So the ID that is inside of entrance is actually different. But if the host wants to leave the lobby that he has joined or created, then he would actually need to use this ID from entrance to be able to leave. And it's really weird. I don't understand exactly how it works. I do understand how it works, but I'm not sure why it works like this. It just feels kind of stupid. Like, it would make sense if there would only be one number, so that would be much easier to understand what the heck is going on. But this is how it works apparently. So what we're gonna have to do is that whenever the host joins his own lobby, the lobby ID is actually going to be equal to the lobby he has just entered. So that would be entrance Steam ID lobby. Of course, as a Steam ID. There we go. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. It's kind of hard to understand, but yeah, that's how it works. Just ask Valve why that is, or maybe you can find someone who actually understands why it has to be like that. I mean, obviously, it would just make sense if there was just one number, but there isn't. So if our host wants to leave the lobby he just created himself, he's gonna have to use the number or the ID from the entrance parameter here, okay? I hope that makes sense. I really hope that does make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Well, you know what I mean. Let's just get on and, at this point, we're gonna try and see if it works. I think we have made everything we can at this point. So, at this point, you're gonna have to get a second computer. And you're also going to have to get a second Steam user. Going to create another Steam user. Now, I have that, and I have a laptop that I can use. I'm just going to transfer, and you can transfer the files from this project to your second computer. You can just export the project. You don't have to export it. You can just transfer the project files to your other computer and run that inside of Godot. Now, I'm having some issues running a Linux Godot project on my Windows computer. For some reason it just crashes whenever I try to open it without leaving any kind of error. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to export this, and I'm going to open it on my Windows computer and run it like that. And then we'll see what happens. So I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got the project running on my laptop right now. So what I'm going to do is try to host a section or a session on my laptop, and I'll invite this user right here on my primary computer, and hopefully we'll see the invitation up here in the tree. Okay, so let's try that out. 1 second. And it didn't, so that's great. Let's try that again. No, it really doesn't work. Do we get any errors? No, we don't. That's pretty interesting. Why the hell doesn't that work then? That's really weird. Alright, so I know what was wrong now. I forgot to actually start hosting on my laptop. So remember to start or create a lobby before inviting your friend, because otherwise it won't work. Now, you can see here that now you can't see all of my screen here because I'm using a 4K screen, and on my laptop, and the window is kind of messed up, so I can't really make it bigger. But you can see that the lobby ID starts with 32700, and the join ID here is something completely different. So these are two different IDs. So alright, so let's see if it's possible to see if the host has received a notification that someone has joined the lobby. Now I can't really see that, but okay. However, we can check that by. So let's try and join this one right here. Join selected. All right. Now I can't really tell on my laptop if because I can't see this section down here because my screen, the window is completely messed up. But I should be able to see on this computer right here if the host leaves. So let's try and see if that works. And there we go. This is my laptop, so made a change in the lobby and the change was 2. That means someone has left the lobby, so now I'm the only one in the lobby. Yeah, so I can leave the lobby as well. There we go. That should work. It's a little, it got a little messy in this episode, but I hope everything makes sense. It's now possible to join a lobby and be 2 players in the lobby. In the next episode, we're going to be chatting with each other as we are in the lobby, and from there we can move on to going from the lobby and into a game where we can move some sprites around. Each player has a sprite that they can move around. So yeah, we're going somewhere, aren't we? We're getting somewhere. That's cool. So I know this episode was probably kind of maybe one of the more difficult ones to understand all the concepts in, but it works. It works. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section, and I will get right back at you. So I'll see you guys in the next episode. Goodbye.